everyone. This video is about ratios, proportions, and the geometric mean. It's basically definitions and examples. So here is some vocabulary. A ratio of A to B can be written like A to B or A to B or A divided by B. All right. If you have means extremes, then the extremes are A and D, and B and C are the means. And the geometric mean of two positive numbers A and B is the positive number X that satisfies this. So if we cross multiply, we get AB equals X squared. And when you take the square root of both sides, you usually get plus and minus, but we're only going to take the positive. So X would equal positive square root of AB. All right, and then we have some examples here. Simplifying the ratio. So this is like A to B. So you just write it as 60 or 76 centimeters divided by 8 centimeters. It crosses out, and that would be 19 to 2. But since they wrote it like that, you have to write it as 19 to 2. And with unlike units, we have to multiply by the conversion factor. So basically, this is what they did here. And you always want to do the inches opposite so you can cross them out. And then you have multiply through, and then you can convert it. So it's 2 to 1. All right. And here's an example. We have the ratio, the perimeter of the doors is 64 feet on the barn doors, and the ratio of the length length to the height is 3 to 5. So usually you write it as 3x and the height is 5x. So when you do the perimeter, you're just doing your perimeter formula and substitute. So this is your length is 3x and height is W. We'll call that W is the height, the width. So that's going to be 2 times 3x plus 2 times 5x equals 64. And that's 6x plus 10x equals 64. And then that's 16x equals 64. And you divide both sides by 16, you get x equals 4. Then you plug it back in. So when you plug it back in, you have 3 times 4, which is 12. And then you do 5 times 4, which is 20. So the doors are 12 feet long. So this is the length. And this is the height. Then you can plug it back in and multiply. If you had, we had to find the area. So the area, you just multiply these two numbers, and we get 240 feet squared. All right, and they want us to simplify this. So you write it as 4 divided by 18, and simplify 2 divided by 9. Then we have to write it like they wrote it. So it's going to be 2 to 9. And then we have 33 yards. Should put meters here. They cancel out. So yards to 9 feet. So the first thing you want to do is convert it, and we're going to multiply, and we're going to put feet here and yards down here, and we know there's 3 feet to 1 yard. So then when you cross this out, then you can multiply. You can go 3 goes into 9 3 times. This would be 1. So you have 33 divided by 3, which is 11 over 1. But they wrote it with the colon, so that's 11 to 1. And then they have the perimeter problem here. So is the perimeter of a rectangle is 21 feet. The ratio of length to width is 5 to 2. Find the length and the width. So basically, we're going to write it as 2 times the length, which is going to be 5x like we did in the other example, plus 2 times 2x, which is the width. That equals 21. So you had 10x plus 4x equals 21. So that's 14x equals 21. And divide both sides, you get 21 over 14. And if you simplify that, that's 3 halves. So when you plug it back in, you're going to get this right here. So you just plug in 5 times 3 over 2, which is 15 halves, which is 7.5 feet. And then you can also plug in 2 times 3 halves, which just the 2's cancel, and that gives you 3. And here's an example, running out of room here, of how to do the triangle. We'll be doing more of these in class, so we'll talk about that later, but there's a good example there. And then we have, let's do this example here. We have a triangle that measures are in the extended ratio of 1 to 4 to 5. Find the measures of the angles. So let's draw it. So this would be like 1x degrees, 4x degrees, and then 5x degrees. And so we're going to write it out as 4x plus 1x plus 5x equals 180. So we get 10x equals 180. Divide both sides by 10, you get x equals 18. So plugging it in here, so this would be 1 times 18 is going to be 18 degrees. And then we do the 4. 4 times 18 equals 72. So that would be 72 degrees. And 5 times 18 is going to be 90. So that's 90 degrees. Now here's how you do proportions, cross product. We're just going to, we're multiplying up and up. So that's AD equals BC. And here's an example. All right. And so we want to solve this proportion. So let's go through that. We have 3 is to 4 as x is to 16. So you cross multiply. You get 3 times 16 equals 4x. So 48 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4, so x is 12. So just crossing up. Now let's do this one. 3 divided by x plus 1 equals 2 divided by x. Cross multiply, you get 3x equals 2 times x plus 1. So 3x equals 2x plus 2. Subtract 2x from both sides, so you get x equals 2. All right. And let's see what else we have. Here's a real world problem. So that basically on the real world problem, we're going to keep things straight. So we have a total number of rows of boards that make up 24 lanes in the bowling alley. You know there is 117 to 3, all right? And then if we have 24 lanes, and I'm keeping lanes here and rows up here. So keep it straight. So that's your X. And then you merely cross multiply. And they used N, so we'll put N here. You cross multiply and look at that, and you get N equals 936. So for 24 lanes, it's 936. Now the geometric mean is, we talked about that a little earlier. You just cross multiply. So you get x squared. It's usually plus and minus, but you get x equals square root of AB. So to find the geometric mean of 16 and 48, you just say x equals square root of AB. So x equals, and we want positive, so square root of 16 times 48. And so what we can do is break this up, 48 up. This is what they're doing. They're taking 16 times 16 times 3, because now we actually have, we can write this as square root of 16 squared times the square root of 3. So we know this just is going to be 16, and then we have the square root of 3. All right, for these over here, you're just cross multiplying, so you get 40 equals 2y. You divide both sides by 2, and you get y equals 10. And then for this one, you do the same thing. You're going to write 9 times x minus 3 equals 6x. And so you get 9x minus 27 equals 6x. You get 3x equals 27. When you simplify, divide both sides by 3, and you get x equals 9. And then for the last two, let's do those. We have 10 sets of bleachers. You count 192 spectators in 3 sets of bleacher, and we want to know how many spectators in 10 seats. So this is your sets, and these are your spectators. All right, when you cross multiply, you get 192, and we have extra 0, equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3, and you get x equals 640. All right, and the geometric mean, that's x equals the square root of 14 times 16. So that's going to give you square root of 14 times the square root of 16, or 14. Square root of 16 is 4. So x equals 4, and you can't reduce square root of 14, so you leave it like that. And if you want to get the approximate value, you use your calculator. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.